Hi, I created a program that helps manage Windows services, disable unnecessary ones, and thus free up resources for important processes. Now I'll show you what this program can do, how to use it more productively, and we'll also look into its code to see how it works from the inside. Right after the first scan of your computer, you can see that 187 services can be disabled right now. Let's go to the services section. On the first page, you can disable popular services. This includes Windows Defender antivirus services, which involve more than a dozen ones that can be disabled easily. I use a special algorithm for that. Here you can also quickly disable Windows updates and, if needed, restore them using these buttons. For example, Windows Update Reset, which downloads a bat file that restarts and reinstalls all update-related services inside Windows and fixes them if something is broken. You can also disable telemetry and Windows search here. Let's go to the next page, All Services. This is the main page for managing Windows services. During the first scan, all the services installed on your system are displayed. There are hundreds of them. Some are system services, some are drivers. This should not be touched, but others can be disabled. If you're using my program PC No Problems, always pay attention to the hints and warning messages. For example, it's very important to create a restore point to avoid problems. If you disable the wrong service, you can boot into recovery mode and go back to a point where everything was working fine. There is also a Restore All Services to Default button. If you don't remember how things were, the program will reset the service settings to default. One of the main advantages of this program, even the free version, is that you can go through all services and see a description for each one. Descriptions are only missing for newer services, services installed by third-party programs, and drivers. You also get a recommendation on whether or not to disable the service and in which case. For example, this service participates in updates. If you don't need updates, you can disable it. There is also a filter, so you can sort services by purpose. For instance, if you want to disable Windows updates, select Show Update Related. The list will be filtered to show only the services related to the Windows Update service. Here it is, Windows Update service, but other services are tied to it as well. For example, Beats, VAS Medic service, Do service, and this one also. You'll need to disable 5 services in total for updates to fully stop. You can use the buttons on the left for that. The Stop button simply stops a currently running service. For example, Beats is running now. We can click Stop and the service will be stopped, even though it's set to automatic start. Next, we can disable the service automatic startup. We can set it to manual mode and switch it back automatically. There is also a block button. How does this block button work? Let's take a look at the program's code. The program is developed in the C++ Builder environment. Here is the All Services section. If we are talking about the button that stops the service, it's simple. A stop service command is created using the name of the service from the table. Then a PowerShell command is sent to stop that service. Buttons that change the startup type use the registry editor. It finds the registry key for the service and changes the start parameter to the desired value. Blocking a service is a bit more complex. PowerShell and command prompt commands are used here. Windows permissions are removed from the service and ownership and permissions are assigned to the administrator only. That means only you, as an administrator, can modify the service, while the system itself can no longer restore its startup settings or enable it again. That's how a service gets blocked. By the way, some services can't be blocked in normal mode. For those, you'll need to enter Windows Safe mode. In the program PC No Problems, there is a button on the main page, Enter Safe Mode. There you can fully disable services that resist blocking or auto-restore themselves. The Restore button uses the program's database of default service settings and restores the selected services to its default state. Using this tool, you don't have to use paid features to block antivirus and update services. You can do it manually through this table. However, it's definitely more convenient to use the one-click disable feature, which is available in the Pro version of the program, which you can purchase on the pcnp website. There you can also download the free version of the program and buy an activation code with a payment method convenient for you, for example PayPal. More details on the website. Feel free to ask questions in the comments below. And besides manual service control, you also have more filtering options for services. You can even show only services that are safe to disable. You can go through a database of over 300 services that you can toggle. And there is also Smart Disable. This part is much simpler. You can check everything you want to disable and click the one button, Disable. This page also works only in the Pro version. To activate it, you need to enter your purchased license key, but it's very convenient. Let's clarify how this works. All services that can be disabled and are present in the program's database are categorized, around 30 categories. You can go through each one and choose what you don't need. Check the boxes and disable them with a single click. Also, when selecting a category, you can see which services will be affected and disabled. Some categories don't show specific services, but trigger other internal program functions, like the ones marked on this page. All of these runs in the background. When services are disabled, they are marked, like here. Xbox-related services has been disabled. You can re-enable them with the Enable Selected button. As we can see, 8 services have been enabled. Please reboot. Keep in mind that disabling everything that can be disabled doesn't mean it's suitable for everyone. When you disable too many services, many Windows features, especially in Windows 11, may stop working. Yes, Windows will boot, but only if, for example, you don't use a password or PIN for login, because those also require specific services. So everything will work, but in a limited way. Windows 10 is simpler, there aren't as many services, and disabling more of them will keep Windows 10 stable. To start, it's better to use the option Disable All Save to disable services, or create a restore point. In this mode, services related to Windows Hello and user login won't be disabled. Also, services created by third-party programs will remain untouched. Your browser won't be removed since you may need it to access the internet. The rest is up to you. The System Optimization button applies recommended registry settings from the Optimization section. Recommended settings are marked with icons. And one more thing I'd like to point out. The last category, Disable various minor services not needed by home PC users, contains many different services. If we count them, there are 80. Most likely a typical home user doesn't need them, or if the PC is used as a TV box or for projector, they are unlikely to be needed either. However, in your individual case, something might be necessary. Also, if you're using the latest versions of Windows 11, some services roles may have changed. So if disabling this category causes issues or breaks something in your system, please write about in the comments, so I can fix it in the next update. At the same time, if you see that disabling one of the options had a negative effect on your system, select it and click Enable Selected. Then restart your computer and the service state will be restored. Now a few words about why all this even necessary. On modern fast computers it may seem unnecessary because there is enough RAM and the CPU is powerful enough to handle heavy workloads. For example, you can see I currently have more than 200 processes running, but on optimized and cleaned up system there could be fewer than 100 processes running at the same time. Still, removing what you don't need is always beneficial. Even a small reduction in system load can improve performance, speed up how the CPU switches between processes, and directly reduce power consumptions. It's like to clean your physical desktop. It becomes more convenient. Many PC users also report that Windows becomes more responsive overall and working with the system feels smoother. If this is your first time seeing this program, give it a try. More details are available on the official website, link in description. Feel free to leave your questions and feedback in the comments below, and see you there.